Hello, hello to everyone from around the world, and welcome to the live streaming of the SpaceCom Entrepreneur Summit Grand Finale, which features live judging of our finalists and our awards ceremony. You're about to have a lot of fun and excitement over the next 90 minutes or so. I am James Causey, Executive Director of SpaceCom. Now, as you all are aware, 2020 was a challenging year for everyone, and I sincerely wish the best to you and your families as we move through this awful pandemic. SpaceCom 2020 was also affected last year, and we had to run the main part of the show as a virtual event in October 2020. Notwithstanding that reality, we had over 5,000 participants from 60 plus countries and over 125 speakers. SpaceCom was an event to remember and far exceeded our expectations for participation and engagement given the ongoing global COVID crisis. But an integral part of SpaceCom is our SpaceCom Entrepreneur Summit. And due to popular demand, obviously largely due to the COVID situation, we extended the entry deadline until January. So the grand finale we're all about to experience is for the 2020 summit. By way of context, the expanding commercial space sector is creating numerous opportunities for entrepreneurs around the globe to make a profit or to do good by fitting into the expanding supply and value chains being created. Many countries which have not historically engaged in the commercial space sector are also looking at ways to grow their economies by now engaging in it. And one of the first steps for them is encouraging and developing their local entrepreneurial sector. Now, SpaceCom's purpose is to showcase the business of space and how companies can take advantage of the immense opportunities being created as a result of our space endeavors. Central to our planning has always been a recognition that we had to be international and focus on key industry sectors that could lead the way for other businesses. But as we've seen from so many companies already, entrepreneurship is also a critical element in these efforts. So we're very proud of the fact that our 5th year of SpaceCom Entrepreneur Summit, we have more than doubled our competitors to 66 with representatives from 21 countries. And they're all vying for the great prizes we've lined up and the notoriety of and knowledge gained by being part of this largest space entrepreneurial event in the world. Just so you know, we do not select the topics or needs or otherwise for the contestants. This is a completely open competition, and we feel this is one of its greatest strengths. But there's more. We have a wonderful set of judges and a unique element that no other event of this sort currently has. An opportunity for each participant to have a mentoring session with an expert during Mentor Week, which occurred last week. The diversity of competitors, countries, and ideas provides another unique element that makes SES so powerful and is manifest by the breadth of international participation this year. So to have 21 countries in this event representing all country sizes and engagement in the commercial space sector is very gratifying. This truly reflects the international nature of SES and SpaceCom. Now, as I mentioned, we had 66 companies enter this year. The judges and mentors have worked tirelessly with these companies and somehow reduced it down to the 5 finalists you will hear from today. Our decision to live stream today's proceedings was designed to give as much exposure as possible to these finalists and to our sponsors. Last week, I had the opportunity to sit in on the mentoring sessions for all 66 competitors. And I have to say that in my mind, they were all winners. They are all extraordinarily creative in their business approaches. And frankly, since completing the training part of the summit, we have heard from nearly all of them what a wonderful learning experience they all had. Now, this whole event would not have been possible without the support of our judges and mentors, 55 in all, and their collaboration with our SES director, Stefan Recke. So many thanks to you all. I also want to do a quick shout out to thank our sponsors, without which this would not be possible either. The Italian Space Agency with Anil Kumar Dave, Amazon Web Services with Rich Julian, Peter Marque, Michael Marino, Amber Nightingale, and Daryl Shuck. AftWorks and SpaceWorks with Major Thomas McNitt, Major Ryan Pennington, Peter Anderson, Severin Blenkush, and Gabe Mounsey. GenSpace with John Ortman, Brandon Seifert, and Srini Kolpara. The ISS National Lab with Ken Shields and Sven Inma. Twilio with Frank Yul Owusu. Lockheed Martin Ventures with Xiaoming Yin. Long Capture with Russ Long. HubSpot with Jose Martins. And finally, but not least, the Brazilian Space Agency with Paulo Vasconcelos. Thank you, all of our sponsors. Finally, I also want to recognize the support of our parent, National Trade Productions, led by Chris Harar, and a particular thanks to Lexi Andrisi of his team, who was just plain awesome. Lexi, you rock. Okay, enough from me. It's now time to turn things over to our director, Stefan Recke, so we can hear from our finalists. Most of you know Stefan, but he is the founder of Angelus Funding and executive director of GenSpace. Stefan has worked tirelessly over the past few months to make this event the success it already has been and continues to be. He has been working very closely with Steve Wolf, a deputy director of SpaceCom as well, who has also been burning the midnight oil to make all this happen. So, without further ado, let me turn it to Stefan to move the program along. Stefan,
hey,
it's yours.
Thank you, James. Really excited to be part of the program. It's been such a great pleasure and honor to chair this year's SES program, making it my 5th iteration. I want to thank the entire SpaceCom team. I've really enjoyed working with you all and your team, within the team, especially Steve Wolf, Jackson Harar, Lexi Andrisi. You and the NTP team are all great. So the mission for GenSpace is to promote cooperation and inclusion in space, making space accessible and available for all to do business in a very founder-friendly manner. So my role as the executive director of GenSpace allows me to follow my passion for mentoring and aligning partners for these entrepreneurs, also known as astropreneurs. As a result, my ongoing work with the SES program is very natural and rewarding. As James mentioned, we started the search for SES participants early last year. In the past, the event was an in-person summit tied to the annual SpaceCom conference in Houston, Texas. As the COVID-19 pandemic shifted SES to become virtual, these challenging times really created a growth opportunity for us. We're able to reach across the globe and attract participants from 21 countries, as James mentioned, from every continent. Some companies and individuals even joined SES just to be observers and not participate in the competition, but to share in the wealth and wealth transfer of knowledge. As in the past, SES continued to be an environment where friendships and partnerships were formed, and also funding requirements. All the speakers, mentors, and judges made themselves very accessible both on and offline. The reach of the internet really allowed us to hold global meetings. Most of the challenges of the time zones were addressed through our alarm clocks and mainly through really engaging and compelling conversations, keeping folks really engaged even into the wee hours of the morning. Some resorted to watching recorded sessions, but then communicating with me offline. So in creating the format for this year's SES, I wanted to develop one that leveraged best practices, but also created new ones. For example, all of our participants untethered with their videos on, but were muted unless speaking. So to emulate or as if they're sitting in a conference room. So this year we used the Startup Included platform again for everyone to submit their company information. The platform automatically created a one-page summary of all the pertinent information. We also asked each one to create a special 1-minute video. So this way the judges, when looking at their application, would have a personal feel of who the applicant was, giving them another depth to allow them to do proper judging. Our program officially kicked off earlier this year with a global webinar that included the past SES participants. And this month we kicked off 2 very full weeks. 1 full week of workshops followed by an exciting schedule of small group mentoring. During the workshop week, we covered topics such as successful qualities of entrepreneurship, go-to-market strategies, the importance of sales, and fundraising and presentation skills. We had an amazing group of presenters, which led to very lively and engaging virtual group discussions. And I'm sure, again, offline discussions and conversations. For the mentoring week, I chose to have small groups meet throughout the week. We had 8 sessions, emulating roundtables. Each group was facilitated by at least 3 industry-leading mentors, giving adequate time for each mentee to give a short pitch and then get feedback and suggestions. Some were even able to redo their pitch and get feedback again, depending on how scrupulously they used their time. During many of the sessions, even the mentees offered advice to their colleagues, which was a great example of collaboration. By the end of Mentor Week, everyone had a chance to update their SES profile to include any feedback from the mentors. So for the biggest challenge we had in that Mentor Week was providing the most amount of time appropriately for each mentee. And we developed even an advanced algorithm of how to match all the different tables with people across the globe. It worked, I hope. And I think we had a couple of technical difficulties, as we all have been experiencing in the past year over the internet. But hopefully the results were positive, and we did get positive results. So this past weekend, the judging was based primarily on the 1-minute videos, plus the information that was submitted in such as the lean canvas, the pitch decks, and other supporting information. Judging was super close, and it was strictly a numerical tally that helped select the top 5 scoring companies. As James mentioned, everyone is an SES winner, and today we will hear from the top 5 winners. I believe we have Jonathan Ortmans on the line, and he'd like to say a couple words about the Global Entrepreneurship Network. Jonathan, are you there?
Hey, Steve, we're waiting for Jonathan in the green room. Stand by.
Hi,
Hey, Jonathan. Thanks for joining us, Jonathan.
Good to be here.
Great. The floor is yours for a couple of minutes, and love to have you say a couple of words.
Yeah, I just want to thank James, Steve, the team.
Thanks for joining us, Jonathan. The floor is yours. A couple words.
Okay.
Steve.
We're just sorting through the feedback loop there, Jonathan, I think.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Sorry about that. I got some feedback there. No, I just want to thank everybody for what a tremendous job and tools.
We're just sorting through the feedback loop there, Jonathan.
Let me see if I can turn off the camera. Hopefully that's better. Great to be joining you. I want to thank all the startups for participating. Yep.
Yes. Sorry, I got some feedback there. No, I just want to thank everybody for
Okay, we're just having some technical difficulties patching Jonathan in. We'll try to have him join later in the program. We'll work out the technical difficulties, and I apologize for that. So, moving forward with the program, it's now my great pleasure to introduce the finals judges: Mark Boguette, Anil Kumar Dave, Matt Harris, Michael Mealing, Dylan Taylor, and Xiaoming Ying. If you can all join, that'd be great. Welcome, welcome. Excited to have you all here. Looking forward to having you just quickly introduce yourself and your venture. Please, if Mark, can you kick off, please?
Yeah, so thank you very much for inviting me along as a judge here. It's an honor to be involved today. So I'm Mark Boguette. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Seraphim Space. We're a space-focused venture firm based out of London, investing internationally. Alongside our fund, we also run an accelerator program called SpaceCom.
Great. Anil?
Hi, hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or even good night. I'm Anil Kumar Dave. I was the head of the Innovation and Technology Transfer Department for the Italian Space Agency, and since very long supporter of the SpaceCom and SES. So very happy to be here with you, and I'm sure we'll have a great show and great presentations from the finalists.
Matt, please. Matt, can you hear us?
Yeah, I guess I got kicked out. Did that just happen to me?
Oh, Matt, you're on still. Matt, do you want to say a couple words?
Talking to me?
Yes, Matt, please.
Sorry, I got kicked out of the chat room, and I just came back in, so I don't know.
Okay, Matt, if you can just quickly just introduce yourself.
Oh, okay, sure. I thought you wanted me to talk about something to do with space. My name is Matt Harris. I work for Tim Draper at Draper Associates, and really looking forward to hearing the pitches today and meeting everybody. Happy to be here.
Thanks, Matt. Michael, please.
My name is Michael Mealing. I'm one of the general partners at Starbridge Venture Capital. We're a space-focused venture fund, and happy to be here and listen to these great companies and all the ones that participated in the program.
Thanks. Dylan, please.
Thank you, Stefan. I'm probably the least distinguished panelist. Great to be with Mark and Michael and everybody else. I'm CEO of Voyager Space Holdings, which is a multinational space exploration company looking to settle the final frontier, but do it under an operating model platform. Great to be here, Stefan, and thanks for what you're doing. This is great.
Thanks, Dylan. And Xiaoming, please.
Hi, I'm Xiaoming Ying. I am from Lockheed Martin Ventures. We're a $200 million corporate fund of Lockheed Martin, and I specifically covered space tech. And I'm really excited to be here learning from all the panelists who are here today, and also looking forward to learning from the finalists who are in SpaceCom this year.
Great. Thank you all for participating and for taking the next part of the conference forward in terms of the finals judging. So now it's time to judge the finals. As a final reminder, each startup will have 10 minutes for their session, and I recommend to the startups that you leave half the time for answering any questions the judges may have. When I show back up, there'll be a 30-second time warning to wrap up. So the judges have been asked to each judge during the presenter's speech and presentation, and I'll have the companies present in alphabetical order, starting with Richard Johansson from Archangel Networks. Richard, the show is yours for the next 10 minutes.
Thank you very much, Stefan. Great. Hi, everyone. I'm Richard Johansson from Archangel Lightworks, and I'm excited to be here to showcase some of the work that we're doing. So Archangel Lightworks protects and transports one of mankind's most important assets, that's data. And our focus is really connecting humanity. So the space industry has a problem at the moment. It's really, it's been stuck on dial-up, reliant on radio frequency communication for quite a long time, and needs to transition to lasercom. So we build laser technology to connect hybrid architectures, linking space, air, ground, and sea. And critical for us is the deployability and resilience angle of providing optical capability that's deployable. So our technology enables large future markets, ranging from military applications to quantum encryption, the future of security, the future of connectivity, and as we go further afield, the future of communications in space exploration. So we unlock value from stranded data through lasercom. And we're starting with data downlink from satellites because this is a known problem. And right now we get less than 10% of our potential data down from radio. And new sensor technology is going to make this problem even worse. We've already got challenges of spectrum access, and radio is not a secure communications option, especially in a post-quantum world. We're building our own laser technology. So we're building a space laser terminal for small satellites and a deployable laser terminal for air and other platforms. We're the prime contractor on a European Space Agency program called HALO, which is High Altitude Laser to and from Orbit. And in that program, we're going to be demonstrating laser links from space to air down to the ground. And what this means is that our customers will get 100 times more data down versus radio, with much greater security at a lower cost and with lower power requirements, and also avoiding the licensing delay. So critical in our technology is the IP that we've developed around air systems and the pointing and tracking necessary to link from satellite down to air platforms. So we're positioning for massive markets through revenue. Our initial focus is government and defense markets, where we know that customers have large amounts of data that they need to move quickly and securely. We're using that to build our technology, and then we want to enable data downlink, so enable an aerial link in the current infrastructure that already exists. And we see that that is really important for the quantum encryption market, where quantum key distribution requires lasers, Basically, those lasers need to operate above the weather in order to not be, in order for the keys to not be lost. So we're interested in how this translates into hybrid constellation development, mixing space assets and air assets. And we're quite conscious that terminal sales is a growing market and expect to be valued at $4 billion by 2028. And finally, the 5G and terrestrial connectivity market is interesting from an FSO perspective. But again, we're really focused on the government and defense applications market at the moment in order to generate and grow our technology and IP base. We have a team of experienced engineers and entrepreneurs. So I'm a technology and strategy consultant by background. I spent many years at IBM and then went back to get an MBA. Owen Price-Jones is our CTO. He looks after our technology and is a space systems engineer and physicist. Ulrich and Diana look after our projects and make sure that we're delivering to very high standards as expected by the European Space Agency. And finally, James Beasley is the former CFO of Airbus Telecom Services and has been really critical to our development so far. We have a team of 13 FTEs, an industry expert advisory board, and a flexible talent pool that we use to grow and shrink the team as necessary. We've laid a strong foundation of customers, partners, and awards. I've already talked a little bit about the ESA Halo project with projects. We also have projects with other governments and have done work with Lockheed and Airbus in the past. We also have an active quantum security project now and have unlocked 7 figures worth of revenue last year, with that expected to grow this year. We take a partner-first approach, so for all of you tuning in and for the judging panel, we'd really be interested in how we can work with your portfolios to increase their effectiveness and unlock the value from data. We've had a bunch of recent awards. One of them in particular has been important to us, the Florida Venture Forum Grand Prize, which we won last year. And now we are excited to be moving and expanding into the States. So coming up for us, we're planning to open our first fundraising round in April to support that US expansion, to accelerate our technology development and deployment, including a demonstration satellite launch, and to pursue some of the product development pathways that I listed earlier. So we're so grateful to be here and have this opportunity to pitch in front of you. And for those on the line, we're looking forward to working with you in the future. So join us to help build the next generation of connectivity. Thank you.
Thanks, Richard. Judges, do you have any questions?
Yeah, Stefan, I have a question, if I could.
Please.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so for the folks who would say that with the progress in edge computing and doing sort of on-chip computation, and the data needs consequently going down because you're transmitting the answer and not necessarily the ones and zeros, what's your response to that? Do you see that as a trend, and does it impact your business plan?
Sure. We're quite conscious of that trend. I guess I would offer an alternative, which is we have needed to move to fiber terrestrially to transfer the amount of data that we're already contributing. And with the rise of 5G and IoT, actually, we think the data volumes are still going to go up. Edge computing is useful for certain cases, but we don't think that it's going to replace the need for laser communications. And I guess just to add to that, I would say that SDA's architectures are really based on optical. So we think we're quite on trend in that regard.
This is Shao from Lockheed Martin. I was wondering if you could talk pricing strategy for your product.
I'm so sorry, Shao. You kind of broke up on my end. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, definitely. I'm wondering if you can discuss a bit about your pricing strategy for your product.
Sure, we definitely can. So our entry segment is government and defense, where customers have problems and they need to move data quickly and securely. So we have not brought our first product to market yet. So because we're still in the demonstration phase of the European Space Agency project, the pricing strategy at the moment is we need to deliver that project and then be able to offer some of those products to the market at that stage. We recognize that the terminal sales market is going to be quite competitive, which is why we're interested in looking at augmentation of existing service infrastructures and what that market will look like for us.
Anyone else? Any other questions?
One quick question. Given the global nature of space and the industry, and being located in the UK, and obviously with Brexit and everything else, have you experienced any issues accessing, for example, US DoD markets, military markets, or anything like that, especially in the case of Europe with Brexit, and in the US, anything related to being a NATO member? Has that affected you over the past year, or is that something that you're working on?
So it hasn't affected us over the past year. Actually, we're quite excited. I wanted to be able to announce something on this, but we're still waiting for the ink to dry. And so we're really excited to enter the U.S. market. That Space Florida win was really pivotal for us, and we're setting up a subsidiary there precisely for that reason, which is to make it easier for us to be closer to partners over there. We've set up a few different relationships, but we're really interested in partnering to grow that business going forward.
Thank you. I've got a question, if I may, Richard.
Please.
Can you help me understand what are the milestones that you believe that you're going to be able to achieve with the money that you're looking to raise for this round, and what will the next round look like? What will be the sort of size and sort of time frame of that?
Yep, absolutely. So in terms of key milestones, we need to deliver our technology. That's the first milestone. The second is the demonstration project, the actual demonstration itself. So doing the space air ground links, and then the third major milestone for us is winning a series of pieces of work in the U.S. So that's really what's bound up now. There are a couple of other product development things that we have in the pipeline. So any residual will be going to that. And then in the future, I think that there are a couple of different pathways that we've been exploring. So a fundraise could potentially look like ramping up production of laser terminals, or it could potentially look like looking at how we're going to be able to support data downlink services that already exist in a more material way. And I hate to be a little bit cryptic, but I recognize that this is a public forum.
Fair enough. Thanks for your answer.
Great. I think that's your time. Thank you again, Richard. Thank you, judges. If you can go into the system and score Richard's presentation, that'd be great. We'll give you 10 seconds or so to do that. Next up, stage will be Marcus from Neutron Star Systems. Marcus, thank you for joining us, and the stage is yours for the next 10 minutes.
Thank you very much. Perfect. I'm Marcus Collier-Wright, co-founder and CTO of Neutron Star Systems. We are solving the problem of power upscaling in space. Spacecraft have reached the upper limits of their power capabilities because conventional technologies become too large, heavy, and inefficient at high powers, limiting the expensiveness and how expensive space missions are. Our solution and our key differentiator is the use of high-temperature superconductors. These are lightweight, compact, and efficient, and enable more capable and more powerful spacecraft, offering the possibility of saving billions of dollars. We will generate revenues by selling superconductor-based spacecraft systems for four main applications: electric propulsion, radiation shielding, power management and distribution, and re-entry shielding. But our main focus is on the production of an in-orbit electric propulsion system using superconductors called Supreme. Now, chemical thrusters have a very low efficiency, which means 3/4 of the spacecraft mass has to be propellant. Electric thrusters overcome this issue with higher efficiencies, but they have several fundamental drawbacks. They rely on expensive propellants, they have a narrow operating range, and they are not scalable. And these thrusters cannot sustain future space operations. Supreme is an MPD thruster involving superconductors, which has high efficiencies but uses propellants that are 100 times cheaper, an operating range 4 times wider, and a much greater scalability. Here's a video of our operational prototype at the University of Stuttgart. The plasma here is being accelerated by a copper electromagnet, which is generating a magnetic field and generating thrust. Now, by replacing this with a superconducting coil, we reduce the magnet mass by a factor of 4, we reduce the magnet power consumption by a factor of 300, and increase the magnetic field strength up to 4 times, leading to improvements in thruster performance and lifetime. And the impact that this has on high power missions is clear. Let's take the case of a cargo transfer from low Earth orbit to the moon. The use of our technology can reduce the fuel needed for this transfer, can increase the amount of payload delivered, and can drastically cut the launch costs and mission costs. Against existing electric systems, we have savings of over $100 million, and against chemical systems, over $1 billion. Over a 10-year period, this could save $6.5 billion for the Artemis program. Our business model is based on the exploitation of digital twin technology and the scalability of superconductors. And with this, we will offer optimized subsystems for our customers. Our primary revenue streams come from the sales of thruster systems for 3 main market phases: near-Earth missions, moon missions, and Mars and deep space missions. And we'll also diversify to secondary revenue streams, selling superconducting systems for other spacecraft applications, for terrestrial applications, and through the licensing of intellectual property rights. And there is a big market demand for this technology. We have received endorsements from 10 customers and are currently negotiating with the likes of Northrop Grumman and Thales Alenia Space and working with them to develop our market entry scenarios to ensure a solid product to market fit. In addition, we've secured nearly $650,000 in contracts with the EU and the European Space Agency and over $50,000 in grants here in Europe. Our financing roadmap builds on this traction to ensure a sustainable development for the company. We're currently in the pre-seed stage of team operationalization, and we're now targeting grant funding, customer contracts, and venture capital to build our MVP prototype at a cost of $3 million. With this, we'll access customer revenues to support the in-orbit demonstration of our technology by 2025, and from then on, we plan to be commercially sustainable based on customer revenues and offer investors up to 60x potential return. In terms of our revenues, we see these growing rapidly following the flight demonstration, with market entry scenarios such as solar weather warning and geocommunication satellites. And we expect that we can achieve over $100 million in annual revenue by 2028. We have the team needed to build this business. As co-founders, we bring the expertise on the 2 key areas of the business: superconductors and electric propulsion. We bring an entrepreneurial mindset, and we have the vision to revolutionize the industry. We've spent between us over 6 years working on this business, and we know what we're doing better than anyone else. We're supported by a fantastic operational and technical team who have the adaptability, the determination, and the global mindset that is needed to overcome the challenges with which we are faced. But most importantly, they share our vision to build this business. And finally, we count on a world-class advisory board, all of whom have an entrepreneurial background and all of whom are leaders in their respective fields. Georg Herdrich from the University of Stuttgart is the European authority on our thruster technology, and his unique expertise will ensure that we will bring the most competitive product to the market and make sure that we capitalize on this brilliant opportunity of bringing superconductors to space. With us, the future is electric.
Any questions, judges?
Yes, I have one. Hi, hello, Marcus. I was wondering if you have any patent or any particular IP protected.
Hi, Anil, thanks for the question. We've filed our first patents in November, and we're on the process now of filing several more patents for the key subsystems of the thruster.
National or international?
At the moment, we've filed in Germany and the UK, and we're planning with our IP roadmap to file as well on an international basis.
Thank you.
I have a question, if I may. Marcus, good to see you. Good presentation, thank you. Your in-orbit demonstration is 2025. What, if anything, can you do in order to bring this forward by a year, 2, or more?
We'd have to be very ambitious. We may have to cut some corners on the qualification, but most importantly, we need to find ambitious partners and ambitious investors who are willing to back us with the funds that we need to build this technology as fast as possible. We'd also consider downscaling to a smaller power class in order to be able to fit on a smaller satellite, which will give us more rideshare opportunities. But this day was selected because in terms of the overall synergy of the technology development roadmap, it fits best.
Thank you. So if you were going to attempt to do that as quickly as possible, what would be the earliest that you could get a downscaled version into orbit?
That's a tough question to answer. I think we could potentially bring it forward by a year, maybe more. I'd need to put some more thought on it.
Okay. Thanks, Marcus.
Thanks, Mark.
Any other questions, judges? Great. Thank you, Marcus. You did a great job, and you're under time, so great. Next, we have Daniel Faber from Orbit Fab. Daniel, please welcome. Welcome to the stage. The stage is yours.
Thanks, David. Can you hear me? Excellent. Thanks. My name is Daniel Faber. I'm CEO of Orbit Fab. It really goes without saying here that we want to see humanity in space. I think that's a common theme at this type of event. Humanity be enriched and secured when there are millions of people living in space. For that, we need permanent jobs supported by a bustling in-space economy. Orbit Fab provides infrastructure for that economy, the literal fuel to power mobility, manufacturing, assembly, human activity. We are leading the production and supply of propellants and materials that will become the Exxon of space. We are gas stations in space. Propellant in space is a total addressable market of $3.5 billion, growing at 20%, for satellite operators needing to reduce their capex and gain operational and business model flexibility. We provide fuel on orbit so they can reduce their launch mass, respond to market opportunities, maneuver without reducing their asset lives, and extend revenue generation. Customers cite marginal revenue potential over $1 million per kilogram of propellant on orbit. For most satellite servicing operators, this is like tow trucks in space. This is the difference between closing their business case and not being able to close their business case. Now, I have 25 years experience in the space industry. As an engineer, I worked on a dozen satellites. And as an entrepreneur, I built 4 companies. One of my previous companies, we actually tried to buy a satellite that had been placed in the wrong orbit. It didn't have enough fuel to get to geostationary orbit, where it should have generated some billions of dollars of revenue. Ended up, we couldn't buy that satellite because we couldn't get enough fuel to even move it to the place that we wanted, a non-optimum location. The lack of fuel costs billions of dollars a year to this industry. My co-founder, Jeremy, has an international business background. He's the vice chair of Confers, an industry association establishing best practices for satellite servicing. Adam Harris, our VP of business development. He previously led business development at SpaceX to capture DoD new launcher business and NASA commercial crew. James Boltitude, our chief engineer, has put 2 satellites in orbit, 5 payloads on the International Space Station. He was responsible for building and crew rating Orbit Fab's 2 tanker test beds that flew to the International Space Station. We did that in under 5 months. Orbit Fab became the first private company to resupply the International Space Station with water through that experiment. We've raised almost $4 million from VC and strategic investors, received Air Force and Space Force contracts worth over $2 million, and we're shipping technology products to the US, Europe, Japan, the UK. We have revenue expectations or projections in 2021 of $5 million. We'll be launching the world's first satellite fuel depot, the satellite tanker, in the middle of this year. So that was my short. A lot of time for questions.
That's great. Thanks for leaving time for questions. Judges, do you have any questions?
Yeah, so I certainly have a question if no one's jumping in first. So hi there, Daniel. Great presentation. Very compelling. It's an area I really believe in. So tell me about what's next in terms of your fundraising. What's the sort of fundraising profile for this business? if I'm going to participate in the next round, what do the sort of rounds after look like? Paint me a picture.
Yeah, absolutely. We've put a lot of emphasis on being capital light, and previous people, this is not a new idea, fuel depots in space, but previously people have assumed that they're going to need hundreds of millions of dollars to stand up inventory in orbit. We looked at that in a different way and said, look, we can do deals with launch companies. We believe that there are ways to do this that are much more capital light. And so using that and being creative on the business side, our capital raise to get to operational capability, revenue generation, and positive cash flow is about 35 million. That's not to say that's where we end, but that's the minimum amount of capital that we require to build sufficient inventory in orbit and to get to the point where our customers are buying fuel from us and we're delivering. So we've already raised, like I said, about 4 million. We expect to be raising 15 million in a Series A, and so and then around 20 million in a Series B. These are the numbers that we're currently working with to stand up the storable propellant supply chain. As we look to cryogenic propellants and other expansions of what we want to do, we may be requiring growth capital, but that's after we are cash flow positive.
Great. Thanks, Dan.
Can I give a question to Daniel? Hi, Dan. One question and one is just a curiosity. The question is if you can tell us a bit more about the business model, so how you will approach the customers and what you will ask them to pay. And the second is the curiosity. Is there an expected lifetime for such gas station in space?
I'll answer the second question first because that's a short answer. We're designing them for 15 years in orbit. That's the sort of baseline design life. In terms of business model and pricing, we talk to our customers and they clearly recognize value that should be created here. And when we started, there are 8 or 9 satellite servicing companies, these tow truck companies in space. There are now, we're tracking between 45 and 50. That's a 500% increase in the last 3 years of satellite servicing companies. There's clearly value that's getting created. Of course, all of them are without the refueling service. They tow 3 satellites and then they throw away the tow truck and have to launch a new one. So our business model, we went to them and said, look, this is expensive to stand up. We're going to get crunched on capital unless we can do good deals and things. Let's sit with you and do an economic model of the value that we create compared to your alternatives, which frankly are building and launching a new satellite. And then let's split that 50-50. So it's value-based pricing. And the customers were willing to sign up to that. They still see a lot of value out of that. We then are able to take enough off the table that we can finance this business.
Thank you.
Any other questions, judges? Well, great. Thanks, Daniel. Great job.
Thanks. Great to see you all here. Appreciate the time.
Again, judges, please fill out your scoring sheets. Next up, we have Alexandros Christou from Space Talus.
We are standing by in the green room waiting for his arrival. Maybe we can go to another one?
Sure. Can we, if we can't find him, can we find Patrick Shannon from Trust Point? As the judges are tallying their and sharing their perspectives on the participants and the competitors, we're trying a behind-the-scenes technology based on the SES platform to make this easy as possible to get a quick result. So we're very excited that throughout the course of the workshop and the mentoring, the folks that have been presenting today and also been participating in the SES program have really gotten a great perspective to quickly demonstrate what their company is doing in a short amount of time. We've practiced elevator pitches, we've practiced also longer pitches, and now this is a good test for the 5-minute pitch. So we look forward to hearing really positive results come out of all the participants from the SES workshop and the SES summit. As with all the ongoing events that have taken place in the past year or so since the pandemic's hit and we've all switched to virtual. We appreciate your patience and working with us through any potential technical challenges. And I apologize for the feedback that Jonathan Ortman's had from the Global Entrepreneurship Network. I do hope that we're able to have him join us again in this program, and look forward to having participation continue on. Okay, hey Patrick, thanks for joining us. Patrick is joining us from TrustPoint. And Patrick, the next 10 minutes is yours.
Outstanding. Thank you. All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody, or good morning, depending on where you are. My name is Patrick Shannon, CEO and co-founder of TrustPoint, and I'm very excited to tell you a little bit about what we're up to today. In a few words, TrustPoint is developing a next-generation, fully commercial GPS service to achieve the performance, security, and reliability for some next-generation applications that are going to be defining the 21st century, including autonomous navigation, infrastructure management, and augmented reality. The team has 11 people now, including contractors and advisors. The leadership team who you see here, we have extensive experience in commercial and government aerospace, startups and established companies, and we've really spent our careers at the nexus of aerospace technology, business, and government regulatory, which is critical to a GPS play like we're going after. Now, given this is a space event, I'm sure many folks on the phone, if not everyone, is fully aware of how foundational GPS is to today's society, playing critical roles in everything from financial transactions, to gaming, national security, military operations, and trade. Now, unfortunately, while it does play a huge role in many applications, there are a lot that aren't getting their needs met, both on the performance and the security side. Some of the big ones you see in the slide here, which is ones we'll be going after. Self-driving cars. We do have proliferated lane centering and adaptive cruise control, but that fully autonomous system, taking your hands off the wheel, taking your eyes off the road, engaging with your fellow passengers, doesn't exist yet. And it doesn't exist because of the security and reliability situation. Same thing with drone delivery. If you're going to place a time-critical order, have something expensive delivered, you want to know that it's going to get there safely to the location that you want, in the time that you want, and that that drone does so without risk to human safety or property. Urban air mobility, airspace management, proliferating the number of aircraft over dense urban areas in a substantial way. Also proliferating automated takeoff and landing, taking that pilot out of the loop and doing it in a cost-effective way. We do have automated landing today for large commercial aircraft at 200 to 250 airports globally. But if we have to proliferate those systems to tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of landing locations, it's going to be very difficult without improvements to GPS. So we see a big play there as well. And then finally, augmented reality. Huge outdoor applications that are available, but making that experience very enjoyable. Having a nice virtual overlay of the real world is super important. Now, when we break down those problems, I've kind of implied each of these, but it's really a four-part problem. There's accuracy, there's responsiveness, otherwise known as time to first fix, there's easy disrupt or jammable, and then there's spoofing. And all four of these have different parts to them, but all four need to be solved to some level to proliferate the applications on the previous slide. And that's where TrustPoint comes in. TrustPoint has a two-part solution to those problems. We're going to start by deploying our own constellation of commercial payloads, possibly as microsatellites, CubeSats, or hosted payloads into low Earth orbit. And then we're going to deploy our PicoNav signal processing technology, a patent-pending technology we've developed in-house, to those spacecraft to produce our own signals with that proprietary technology. Now you combine those two, the satellites and the signal processing tech, into the company here, and we're able to address all four of the problems on the previous slide, generating significant improvements in time to first fix to that precision solution those applications need, as well as improving jam resistance and security to mitigate the spoofing risks. Now, why go do this, especially when you've already got some heritage government-owned GNSS systems? Well, the market's huge and it continues to grow, and the growing portions of the market are really the ones that aren't getting their needs met. We see ourselves as this player in this market. It's the GNSS hardware market, or the receiver market. It's topped 50 billion a year in recent years, with expectations to triple by the end of the decade. We split it into 3 levels: mass market, middle, and high value, with really a focus or trust point early on in the middle market, in the drones and the autonomous cars. But all these market segments have the same problems that need to be addressed. How are we going to go about that? A little bit on our roadmap. We have a 4-phase plan. We're going to start, or have been doing core R&D over the last 18 to 24 months. The next phase is demo and paid pilots, where we're going to finish up that lab work, take that technology out into the field, and show that it works in realistic RF environments and some early space capability. After that, we have 2 phases of a constellation build out. We're going to start by building out about a third of our constellation to provide an augmentation service. This will be a nearly fully global service where we can generate significant revenue, but you'd still need access to some of the other existing heritage systems like GPS or Galileo, in addition to our signals, but you are getting vast benefits from our system at that point. Eventually, over the following years, we'll expand to our full constellation to provide an independent service. Go to market, we have a 3-party pilot program in mind, where we engage end users and chip manufacturers together in the field to have full value stream verification. And like I mentioned, we're in the GNSS hardware market, but we're a fabless IC company, licensing firmware to GPS chip manufacturers like Qualcomm and Broadcom, so their chips and their products can access our signals. We are keeping the door open to vertical integration, but we'll take that in stride. Big takeaway here is we have a graduated plan with early revenue in 2022 and substantial revenue by the end of 2024. We are actively raising our seed round and are happy to talk to folks about collaboration opportunities. Investors, customers, and partners, please reach out. And that's all I got.
Thank you, Patrick. Judges, do you have questions?
Great presentation and
This
fascinating.
is Dal from Lockheed Martin. Patrick, very nice presentation. Really quick question. You mentioned you're currently raising a seed round, and can you discuss a little bit more about what your intent of the fund is?
Yeah, absolutely. Near-term use of funds is 2 parts. It's to do those field demonstrations I mentioned on the second to last slide there, get the technology in the field and show it working in the field. The second part, of course, is business development, customer engagement, regulatory engagement. And so there's going to be some legwork in place to start working on the large contracts with chip manufacturers, not getting to a contract, but teeing ourselves up for those paid pilots in 2022.
So I've got a question if no one else is coming forward. Tell us about your revenue model. How are you going to make money out of this?
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Good question. So there's a couple different possible paths forward for the business model. We're starting as a fabless IC company. So licensing the firmware that has the ability to access our proprietary signals to GNSS chip manufacturers. So on the large end, you got companies like Qualcomm and Broadcom. Smaller end, there's some more local companies or national companies that support government or specific applications like drones. We'll essentially be working with them to incorporate our firmware into their existing chips, and either getting a royalty per sale on the back end from them, or bulk buy licensing up front. And to that extent, Mark, we are keeping the door open to expanding to our own ASIC, doing something like a known good die, or potentially going as far as doing our own receiver modules in the future. It's a bigger chunk of revenue, obviously, bigger bite of the pie, a little longer schedule. So we'll take those decisions in stride.
May I? Oops, sorry. Go ahead, Dylan.
Thank you. Hey, Patrick, nice presentation. I'm still a little bit confused on the regulatory environment for this. I had understood that precision GPS was a secured, portion for national security purposes. So how can you deliver precision and not sort of trip that wire, so to speak?
Yeah, great questions, Dylan. There's 2 parts to it. So the first part is there is precision GNSS solutions for the military. They're encrypted. They're not accessible to the civilian world in the way that we'd like them to be. We can listen to them, but we can't decode them. We can't do much with them. So we're providing that level of capability to the commercial world. On top of that, the government is very interested, and you can look at policy coming out of both the executive branch as well as the legislative branch regarding leveraging commercial solutions to improve GPS for government users. So what they're actually looking for is frequency diversity, constellation diversity, both space-based and terrestrial-based diversity, all brought to field by commercial companies, not the government themselves, so not government-operated systems. So there's big policy pushes and budget being allocated through the defense acts, as well as some of the other more civilian government side to make that happen. So it is today a government protected and implemented situation, but they're looking for commercial companies to augment that further because even that is at risk.
I have a very quick question. Hi, Patrick. Just from my understanding, can you just tell me in a nutshell the uniqueness of the solution? Is in the software, is in the hardware, is in a mix of that? And the second part of the question is that being the only European on the table, sorry, Mark, but being the only one, I cannot refrain asking to you if you have had any thought about Galileo, because you are working on GPS, but Galileo is now the new kid on the block.
Yeah. There's a couple talking points there. To hit the first one regarding the uniqueness of our solution. So compared to heritage solutions, those spacecraft are out in MEO and GEO, tens of thousands of kilometers away from the Earth. Those have certain system level features and capabilities that support. Our uniqueness at the system level comes from deploying constellation into low Earth orbit, provides a greater angular velocity across the sky, which helps the solution both reliability and precision. So that's part of the uniqueness. There's also uniqueness into our signal and the type of data, as well as the signal structure itself that's getting put in there. So GPS heritage signals, and that includes Galileo, GLONASS, and BEIDO, are pretty standard based on some protocols that are not particularly new or flexible. They have a backwards compatibility requirement, so they've had to keep their users, as far back as the late 80s supported. And we have vast improvements in technology. So our solution will be able to leverage what you can do with software-defined radios today, really high processing power in the ground, engines. And there's also, because we're in LEO, we have regional flexibility. We're able to modulate the power, the frequencies, the encryption keys for different regions around the world and at different times, which is a very powerful addition to the standard GNSS solutions, even like Galileo.
Thanks.
Great. Thank you, judges. Thank you, Patrick, for presenting.
Absolutely.
We have next in queue our final finalist, Space Talos, Alexandros Christou. Alexandro, welcome to the stage.
Hello, hi.
The
Thank
stage
you for this opportunity.
10 minutes, yes.
Fantastic. Let me share my screen. All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Alexandros Christou. I'm from Space Talos, CEO and co-founder. So what we're developing in Space Talos is shielding solutions to protect electronics in space. So what's the problem? Traditionally, we have established players working in high orbits, while the new players and disruptors are closer to LEO orbits. If you notice on the right, you'll see in blue there is a massive amount of satellites being in low Earth orbits. This will change in the future, and we believe as the market become more and more saturated, people will try to go in a different environment in MEO and GEO. The reason for this is multifold, but also because if you have satellites in higher orbits, you have higher exposure and angle of coverage of the Earth, but also you have better fuel efficiency because of changes in the environment. At the same time, the problem is the moment you try to go to those orbits, you have problems with radiation. And this is where we come in. So the problem of space radiation has been around for many years, obviously, as long as the space industry is a harsh environment. We have space assets that are very expensive. For a GEO telecom satellite can be almost cost 100 million per satellite to cover those expenses, and it's a growing market. At the same time, the electronics we're using up there, they're completely different than ones we're using from commercial off-the-shelf electronics that are 10 to 20 years old, and they have higher processing and power requirements. So overall, we think there is a market there. So this is an opportunity for us. So in Space Talos, we're thinking, how can we do better as an industry for this? So we're trying a different approach of, instead of redesigning your whole electronic board, what you're doing is we are having a shield, we're generating a shield so that we deflect the particles before they reach the circuit board. So we've done our simulations and we've done our experiments with some promising results. And that way we can actually improve performance of the satellite and enable modern electronics up on board. So why we can do this? Our team has expanded and has physicists, chemists, and science engineers to deliver this. Myself, I have a PhD from Imperial College of London with on computational mechanics, and my co-founder, Mazar Jawad, he has 13 years of research experience in physics in extreme environments. We have a board of advisors from within space and plasma physics and business. So what are we delivering differently from our competitors is the fact that rather than having those added costs of going through the qualification testing and redesigning your board and settling for components that have lower performance, with us, you can actually generate zones where you can have your commercial off-the-shelf electronics in those harsh environments, improving the reliability of your system and at the same time keeping top performance. This is a few quotes we're getting from early traction that we have. This is important for us because it shows that there is value in the industry for doing this. People are already looking for alternatives to rad hard if possible, and they would be willing to try it and put it on a pilot. How are we going to make money? So we have two products in development. One of them is for bespoke solutions for satellites. We're talking with satellite manufacturers for shielding their payloads and their systems, and that would go for a licensing model and depending on the value generated over the course of the satellite, the lifetime of the satellite. And the other one is a more commercial friendly, on a packaging level, protective packaging of the chip, where it's a plug and play for the customer and they can basically use whatever they were using before, albeit at a different environment. For the latter one, we are considering the path route to market through also chip manufacturers who have not been exposed to space and open the market for them and take advantage of those channels. We have the support, and we're very happy for that, from the European Space Agency, Innovate UK, UK Space Agency, and the Stage 1 contract from the UK Defence, and a few other achievements. So this is the roadmap so far. So we started in 2018, and within 2 years, we have managed to do 2 experiments, file our patent to protect our core IP. We have 5 letters of support. We have grown the team, finished the fundraising round, and got some contracts from defense, as I mentioned before. And the roadmap for the next year is the new patent and do a benchmark experiment with a high-end FPGA that could not withstand the space environment at present. Going forward, we're going to have the engineering solution, which we're going to start capitalizing on those letters of support to start cashing them in, and then with a new fundraising round to reach into an in-orbit demonstration in 2023. For Space Talos, though, we want to look beyond shielding. So we want to be there when we actually start having real-time space computing on board, rather than relaying the signal down to Earth and bouncing it back. We want to be thinking about restoring the geo-graveyard for the future generations of satellites, and at the same time being able to enable experiments in space that we couldn't do before. I believe this is a massive opportunity. If you're as excited as I am for the future of space, please contact me and reach out. This is Alexandros Christou from Space Talos, and I'll take your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alexandros. Judges, do you have questions?
I'll jump in with a technology question. Just based on what was in the presentation, can you speak a little bit about the additional power requirements that the solution impacts the spacecraft for active shooting like that?
All right. So thank you very much for the question. The system doesn't have active components, and as a result, it doesn't have a magnetic footprint as well. So as a result, it doesn't have any power requirements. The only impact that you would have on your budget for your payload would be on the mass and weight added, which would be competitive to what you would have anyway on the spacecraft, depending on the solution, if you're looking for something bespoke or something on the chip level. we're envisioning the future where we're actually putting it on the PCB chip component chip level, so adhering to the thermal requirements without any cost in terms of power, to answer your question.
Any other questions? Great. Well, thank you, Alexandros. Thanks for your time. Thank you, judges, for your judging. So now we're in the phase, a little ahead of schedule, for the final votes to be tabulated. And I'd like to invite James Causey on stage. And while James is getting ready for being on stage, just wanted to let you know that we look forward to tabulating the results and announcing them, as well as acknowledging all the participants in the SES program shortly. Hey, James, the floor is yours now while I go back and furiously try to tabulate all the results.
So can you hear me okay, Stefan?
Yes, I can, James. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Good deal. Well, the floor is yours, and I'm going to go run in the back room like in the old days and try to collect all the pieces of paper and put it all into a crazy Excel spreadsheet.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Well, I tell you, the one good thing about this is that I do not have to be a judge, because I'm just in awe of the quality of everything that's coming from all these finalists. Maybe while we're waiting for the judges to go through this, we should have Brett bring up the next slide. Brett. So as I say, while the judges are in the process of going through their process, we're really excited at the breadth of the participation we've had this year. And the beauty of this is that they're all competing for a series of very, very exciting prizes. Just give me 1 second. So the prizes that we have are listed on this slide. And Brett, if you could move forward, please, on the slide. Again. And through all of them. Not necessarily in any order, but the winner is going to get dedicated coaching and mentoring that Stefan is going to work with the leadership of the winner to come up with a dream team, if you will, to work with that. In addition, Amazon Web Services is providing credits for the finalists and for each of the 4 runners-up. Further, because contact management is so important, HubSpot is offering a 90% discount for all the startups this year. And finally, Twilio is offering significant discounts on their services as well. Next slide, Brett. Now, the other piece that everyone is going to be excited about, I hope, is that each of the key sectors of the participants are going to receive a certificate. The judges and mentors are each going to receive one. Every participant is going to get one. The 5 finalists, or 4 finalists, I guess, will also receive them. And finally, the winner will get a certificate as well. On the next slide, what we're going to do is now have an opportunity to hear a little bit from our sponsors who are going to give a brief presentation. First, we're going to hear a video from Amazon Web Services. Then we'll hear some quick remarks from Zhao Ming from Lockheed Martin Ventures. And then finally, we'll hear from Anil from the Italian Space Agency. So Brett, could you tee up the AWS video, please?
Hello, I'm Clint Crozier, and I have the honor of leading Amazon Web Services' new aerospace and satellite business. At AWS, our mission is to help space companies achieve their boldest goals, and we're especially excited to support startups and appreciate the critical role they play in the future of the space enterprise. And because of that, we offer a broad range of programs and events like the one today to support startups as they launch and grow and scale for success. We've helped some of the largest startups in the world and continue to help foster the next wave of entrepreneurs. We know that startups play a big role, in particular in driving innovation in the space industry, and we're happy to be a part of that. So I'm very excited to be part of this ceremony today to help recognize the incredible innovation each of you has brought forth in this competition. So best of luck to all of today's finalists, and congratulations on simply being selected as a finalist, which already shows tremendous innovation by your company. So now it's time to name the winners.
And now let's hear from Zhao Ming from Lockheed Martin. Zhao Ming, are you there?
I'm sorry. James?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, great. Sorry, I just got kicked off for a bit. I apologize. I'm very excited to be here on behalf of Lockheed Martin Ventures. I've seen a number of really great companies that has presented their technology to all the judges and the audience. And more importantly, they really represent the entrepreneurs who are working on frontier technology in space tech. And of the finalists that were presented here today, I think represent a really great composition of folks that are working on propulsion, working on communication, that steer the next generation communication network in space. We also seeing some seeing Overfab that's working on space servicing. So it's a really great composition of companies that are moving the next gen space tech forward, and I'm excited to be here, honored to have learned from all the judges and all the entrepreneurs, and thank you really, and congratulations to all the finalists.
Well, thank you, Zhao Ming. And now we'd like to hear from Anil Kumar from the Italian Space Agency. Anil, are you there for us?
Hey, James, we're waiting for Neil to rejoin the green room. Apologies for the inconvenience.
Okay.
Want to invite
Well, in a way, Brent, that's probably just as well, because I'm sure the judges are having quite a struggle figuring out who to be, who the winner is.
Neil's coming right back. Thank you for your.
Here I am. Here I am. Okay, okay. No, sorry, I had some problem with the platform. So no, it has been a great pleasure for us. In the name of the agency, on behalf of the agency. So it has been a great pleasure for us supporting this event, and of course we have been that much supportive also in the last years, where we have seen growing up this event in the past years and becoming more and more, wide in terms of participation and in terms of countries represented. So we truly believe that this is the best, we can make also to support the new ventures, new startups, and definitely pave the way for the new space economy above us on space. So best of luck. I'm here and eager to see and to know the name of the winner. So let's keep up. And I guess we have seen the best ambassadors of SES also for the next time.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anil. We do have a possibility that Jonathan Ortman from GenSpace is available to make his presentation now. Jonathan, are you able to join us?
Hello again, James. We are still waiting for Jonathan to join us. And
okay,
just give me 2 shakes of a lamb's tail.
Okay. No problem. The wonderful advantage of these systems is that we just all have to be a little flexible and accept the fact that some things aren't going to work perfectly. We have quite a storm system going through the East Coast right now, which may be affecting things as well. Brett, any word from Jonathan?
I'm still waiting to see him to show up on the green room. Stand by.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you all presenters. I mean, those were absolutely fantastic outlines you gave us of your business plans and so on. As we go forward from here, obviously we're waiting for the winner to be announced. And I have to say, now I'm becoming repetitive, it's just amazing what you all have come up with. But the timing of all this is such that I expect that if we can't hear from Jonathan, Stefan will be coming back online momentarily to announce the winner.
We're juggling, juggling the screens. It's been pretty exciting and unfortunately challenging due to the pandemic. We have a couple of technologies going on here. We're using a combination of StreamYard, GoToMeeting, we're texting. So hoping to have Jonathan be able to join us shortly, and I'll give him a minute or so to do that. Hey, Jonathan.
Hi.
Welcome. Jonathan, if you can drop off the other platform,
okay,
that would be helpful.
Okay, I'll make sure I'm off. I shouldn't be on it, but I will now. There we go.
You are. And that's where the echo's coming from.
Got it. Okay.
All right. We're on. The floor is yours for a couple minutes.
Thank you so much, everybody. Sorry about the technical problem. It's always embarrassing to have a technical problem in front of entrepreneurs. So, but as I say, I'm Jonathan Altmans. I run the Global Entrepreneurship Network, and we're so proud to get to work with all of you, and particularly all the leaders around SpaceCom and this summit in helping to do what we're trying to do, which is to make the work you do as mainstream as any other field when it comes to the understanding and the knowledge of local communities around the United States. We actually operate in 200 countries now. We run all sorts of programs that are designed to help entrepreneurs, to help investors, but most importantly for us, to help policymakers and the ecosystem builders to be able to support you in the most useful and constructive way. And so right now, the connectivity of government to the new space industry, I think is an extraordinary reason for you to be optimistic about what's happening. We are inundated. We're going to be having a ministerial with 100 countries looking at what governments are doing to help entrepreneurs, because as you know, you are the golden, shall I say, solutions. Most of you, when something like the pandemic comes along, are comfortable in an environment when someone disrupts something. So our industry disruptors, those people that don't get terrified of uncertainty, the things that many of us around the world have experienced during the pandemic. And so I think a lot of nations are looking to their entrepreneurs, not just, of course, to restore economic growth, to recreate those lost jobs, but I think a lot of nations are looking to entrepreneurs to obviously do what we're all doing, which is trying to build back better. And at Gen, you know, we've got a theme for all of our work this year. We're saying we're going to reboot, we're going to rethink, and then we're going to regenerate. And we're looking at really being sure that we're active. So whatever country you're from, I hope that we can hear from you. Get in touch with Stefan. He'll definitely connect you to me, and we can put you in touch with all of our free accelerator programs. We have founders clubs, we have investor networks, and we have just a lot of people that basically the reason that Stefan and I got together and said we've got to have Gen Space is we said we've just got to make it possible for more of you to get access to all the materials. So thank you so much for letting me join you, and good luck to everybody, and really looking forward to seeing the end result.
Thanks, Jonathan. And look forward to working together, as you said, and increasing the footprint for entrepreneurship in space. So now, without further ado, Brett, if we can start the drum roll, that'd be great. I hear a drum roll. Actually, imagine a drum roll in the background. Is everyone back in backstage? Great. If I can welcome everyone back to the stage, all the entrepreneurs that presented. Excellent. Well, super excited. Fingers crossed, toes crossed. It was really tough. The span in terms of the scoring was minimal. You all did a great job. You were all winners, and I wanted to emphasize not just the top finalists, but everyone that participated in the program. So it's my great pleasure to announce this year's current SES pitch competition champion or finalist, grand finalist, OrbitFab.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Very honored. I'd like to thank all the judges and especially the organizers. Steve, you've done a great job. Technical difficulties, you seem to have overcome them.
Great. Well, thank you. And again, it was a pleasure working with you all. And I look forward to hearing really great things come out of SES and great things come out of your funding strategies, your funding, your fundraising, your sales, your partnerships. Really want to emphasize that hopefully you all stay together as a cohort and also make new friends as part of the process. So with that, I'd like to welcome James as well. James, we did it. We figured out the judging. We got through the technical challenges. I'm excited, and I can see everyone else is excited. So thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks, James. You're on mute, by the way.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Well, let me add my congratulations now on audio. Okay, so congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I can't wait to pull up my rocket to your gas station. When the time is right.
Excellent. Do you want that with donuts or beef jerky?
Yeah, with donuts for sure. Starbucks. Well, Stefan, I'll turn it back to you for a second. If there's anything you want to say in closing.
Again, I just want to really wish everyone continued and future success. As I mentioned, whether it's in the fundraising process, product development process, whether you're starting to generate revenue, financial rewards for your company, personal rewards, and most importantly to me, making the most positive impact on humanity with your companies, your projects, your services. So that's pretty much what I have to say here from Loon Lake, Washington. James.
Okay. Well, well said, Stefan. I don't think I could really embellish on it at all beyond what you just described. But just let me say it's been a pleasure working with all of you. Thank you so much again to the mentors, the judges, the sponsors, the competitors, and all the hard work done by our team to pull this off. It bodes well for the future. So let's make 2021 a fantastic year for all of us. Thank you all very much and take care. Goodbye.